All right, I will get out in front of this. I do not know what I'm doing, so take all of this with a grain of salt. How's everyone feeling this morning? I know. Yeah, last morning, first session, everyone seemed to be having a good time last night. So I was joking with some people that I should just pull the substitute teacher move and play a movie instead in the background. But I thought about it this morning and actually thought that maybe the first round of the Masters would be a better idea. So I figured I'd get some takers on that, yeah. It's just presented by Sensor Tower. In any case, we're gonna talk through some observations that Sensor Tower can report on. And just a quick show of hands before this week, anybody aware of Sensor Tower? Anybody heard of us before? I see a couple hands at least. So just to kind of start there, basically Sensor Tower's mission is to report on the world's digital economy. And where we've started with that is going back, over a decade at this point, the mobile app ecosystem, which, as we've talked about throughout the week, is obviously a really important channel for QSR restaurants in this day and age, and something that can be a key signal to a lot of different business outcomes and the way that you engage with your customers on an ongoing basis, and introduce loyalty rewards programs, and of course digital ordering for a lot of these QSR brands is the bulk of where the orders come from these days. So that's our bread and butter, right? If you're looking for competitive intelligence on how your competitors or any other app in the market are doing in terms of app performance, app usage, how they're marketing their apps to consumers, we're the go-to shop for that. And beyond the mobile space, we've branched out in recent years to report also on the digital advertising ecosystem. So again, competitive intelligence, marketing teams, if you want to know where your competitors are spending their digital ad dollars and what those media mix trends look like for each of those advertisers, how their creative strategies differ across channels and how that all evolves over time. Again, we're the leader in helping report on that type of insight as well. So we actually just released a report on the QSR industry that I'm going to reference a little bit from today. We will probably send this out to all of you afterwards as well. So just a few things that I wanted to note while I have your attention here. So a few key takeaways. QSR app adoption, new downloads has slowed a little bit to start the year, and we've seen that sort of across pretty much all subcategories. Paid search app downloads, on the other hand, have gone up considerably. Domino's and Pizza Hut now lead the U.S. year-to-date ad spend for the category, and talk a little bit more about that in a minute. And Domino's actually recorded a very sharp rise in mobile usage, coinciding with a big push in their ad strategy as well. So just a couple of quick trends. Again, as I mentioned, we've seen the downloads for this category, kind of decline a little bit across subcategories to start the year. So, pizza seems to be hit the hardest, but it's really been, kind of across the board. We see these brands contending with a lot of macro forces going on right now and trying to introduce new value items in order to sustain that growth. But the good news is that while the download trends have slowed a little bit, we actually are seeing mobile usage remaining resilient. And QSR app monthly active users rose about 10% year over year in both January and February, suggesting that while new app adoption is flattening, users actually remain highly engaged. And as I mentioned before, we've actually seen the share of downloads coming from paid search rising considerably when compared to organic downloads, people just going to the App Store and searching for the app. Browser downloads, people clicking on a link and going to the App Store, and then paid downloads from other paid channels. So, I know we've talked a little bit about this week about performance and, how that can be, kind of analyzed brand to brand and, how effective it might be in different channels. But one of the things we're seeing is in the App Store, it's been effective this year. We've seen an increase in ad spend and an increase in paid search downloads as a result. So something to keep in mind going forward. We've also seen a little bit of a shift in the ad spend rankings in the U.S. market in 2025. So we've seen Domino's and Taco Bell overtake McDonald's, swapping spots from the previous period. And here's just kind of a quick overview of what the market looks like right now. We have seen actually an increase in investments this year, but it's been pretty highly concentrated. Fewer than 2/3 of the advertisers contributed to this increase, and the top 5 brands actually accounted for about 60% of the total spend, highlighting a significant concentration of the media activity. You know what? I forgot that I'm reading notes off of this and supposed to be clicking through this because the notes didn't transfer over to this version of the thing. So bear with me. This is what I was talking about. I'll spare you. We won't start over here. I promised I'd keep it under 10 minutes. So, all right. So just a couple of kind of case studies I wanted to look at. As I mentioned earlier, we actually did see a surge in Domino's app usage in early 2025, with U.S. monthly active users rising 5% year over year in January and February. And the uptick actually coincided with a pretty notable uptick in marketing activity as well. So we saw a 44% increase in ad spend and a 200% surge in paid search-driven app downloads during the same time period. And the Domino's ad spend market share reached 19% across QSR advertisers. So again, a pretty massive share during the first 2 months of the year, up about 4 points year over year. And this again sort of reflects a significant push in ad investments and aligns pretty neatly with the rise in usage that we've seen during the same time period as well. Remember to do it this time. One of the other interesting trends that we picked out is while the overall app overlap between McDonald's and other QSR brands has been, sort of stable for the most part, we've actually seen a pretty big uptick in one segment specifically, and that's the Mexican-inspired category, led by Taco Bell seeing the sharpest increase in cross-app usage from McDonald's users. So of users of the McDonald's app, we've seen a huge percentage of them using the Taco Bell app as well. And in February of this year, about 20% of McDonald's app users also engaged with the Taco Bell app, and that's the highest overlap we've seen in at least a year. Chick-fil-A followed with about 16% of McDonald's users also using the Chick-fil-A app. In February, up from about 14% in the previous year. And Popeyes, Jack in the Box, and Sonic ranked 3rd, 4th, and 5th on that list in cross-app usage respectively. So, interesting just to kind of take a look at the data and see, where users of a certain app are also engaging. And again, like for brands, when you're trying to consider, where are my customers going for other types of services, other types of value, one of the places that you can look is that cross-app usage data to make sure you understand where, digitally those user journeys are overlapping and, the directionality of that. McDonald's, however, does remain a market leader in mobile user loyalty. So they've sort of been king here for a while now, and it's, again, interesting to kind of see that bear out in the data. Despite the increased cross-app usage with competing brands like Taco Bell, as we just mentioned, McDonald's continues to lead the category in app retention and user loyalty. So in January and February of 25 this year, McDonald's retained 75% of its app users, the highest rate of any company in the cohort. So that means, using the app month over month, and also recorded the lowest churn rate of any of the brands analyzed at about 28% month over month during the same time period. So by comparison, that churn compares with about 34% for Taco Bell, 38% for Chipotle, who are other leaders in the space. And the data suggests that while competing apps are getting attention from McDonald's users, the brand's usage and loyalty remains really strong, kind of reinforcing its resilience in the category. And another interesting story we saw is Chipotle reintroduced their brisket menu last year, and their ad investments reflected that. So, again, focusing on that LTO and kind of what happens with the marketing push around it, we saw them significantly ramp up their ad spend in late 2024, coinciding with the re-release of this limited time menu in the US and Canada specifically. And ad spend at the time rose about 60% in Q4 compared to Q1. And the number of creatives highlighting the brisket menu increased about 43% quarter over quarter in Q4 as well. So, obviously a very deliberate attempt to boost visibility around that promotion. And, what's interesting is around the same time period, we saw that their cross-app usage declined. So users of the Chipotle app that would traditionally be using, these other QSR apps as well, actually stopped using some of those apps to the same degree and, started using Chipotle more. So really pretty interesting, insight into how just that one push around the LTO can actually impact the amount to which Chipotle or, any company's customers go and engage with competitors during that time period. So the data was really actually pretty clear about that, which was interesting to see. So again, just a few stories we wanted to share from the data. If you are a brand in the QSR space, we have a number of brands who are here this week, actually, who are customers of ours, have been using our data to inform ad strategy, mobile strategy, the intersection of the two. And for those of you who are not brands here and you are on the ad tech side, some of you actually use us for your sales teams as well. So if you're looking for market signals on who's advertising and what their ad strategies are, or if you're one of the people who happens to be in the mobile space and you're looking for insight on that, really great use for our data as well. So yeah, I am just under the 10-minute mark that I promised I would stay under, so I will cut it off there. But again, want to really quickly thank the Media Post team for everything this week. It's been a really awesome conference. Great to meet everyone here. Safe travels home, and yeah, I'll enjoy the rest of it.